With the conclusion of the Golden Age arc, we end the highest praised and most famous segment of Berserk. Most of that is due to the point that it's the only portion that's been given quality anime adaptation, so it's the one most known by fans. And with multiple incarnations, it can be dissected and compared and contrasted in many different ways. But also the Golden Age, in and of itself, is like a complete story. It just might not have the kind of ending you feel is satisfying, as it ends with most of our characters dying and our main character being left a broken shell of a man vowing to wander the earth for revenge. That leaves the story completely open-ended and free to go anywhere. But with that freedom, you could theoretically let it end there. Leave it up to your imagination, you know? Does Guts find Griffith again? Does he wander forever? There's an idea of fun coming up with that on your own. The Eclipse segment is so big and so legendary that to think of it as anything other than a finale takes some mental strength. I mean, where do you go from there? How can you top turning one of your main characters into a near literal god? How do you add a sense of fear and tension after killing off so many of your characters in specifically gruesome way that you did? Surely anything that comes after would pale in comparison of that epic moment. And for some fans, that's true. And they never get past the 10 out of 10 standard that the Golden Age arc is. However, believe it or not, Berserk still has many places yet to explore, and Guts' journey for vengeance will explore and adapt his characters in many ways that the Golden Age simply could not. Also, there are themes and ideas the series has yet to explore, such as religion, that plays a major role in the upcoming parts I'll be covering. But still, without an anime adaptation, most people don't explore beyond the Golden Age. Oh, wait, what's that? There was an adaptation in 2016? That goes past the Golden Age? And I never mentioned it? How strange. Yes, in 2016 there was a new Berserk anime series. And it is just awful. From what I've seen, this was meant as a kind of sequel to the movie trilogy of the Golden Age. The problem with this series is the absolutely horrendous CGI animation and incomprehensible direction. The Berserk movies have CGI, but it's still primarily 2D animation, especially during the more quiet moments of character interactions. The 2016 anime series is all CGI, and it looks like it's half-rendered and wouldn't even belong in a PS2 video game cutscene. Camera angles make no sense, and it's extremely difficult to even tell what you're looking at. On top of this, they blatantly skip the first half of the Conviction arc called the Lost Children chapters, which is a fan favorite. I mean, I appreciate them trying to make more Berserk anime, but this is just god-awful. I almost couldn't even watch it. It lasted 2 seasons somehow, with a total of 24 episodes. I myself have only watched the first 2 episodes in their entirety before giving up. There are some fans out there that like it, but in the general consensus is it's shit. But since I'm a masochist, I thought it might be fun to maybe do some reaction videos of me watching the series and cringing my heart out. I mean, I'd only put myself through that torture if people actually want to see it, so if you'd like to see me do reaction vids to Berserk 2016, let me know in the comments, and if it gets enough responses, I'll do it, just for the lulz. But with all that out of the way, let's get back to the story. Outside the borders of Midland, we are introduced to the Holy Iron Chain Knights on a mission from the Holy See. 2 of them are bickering, Azon, a large man who seems very uptight and proper, and Serpico, who seems aloof and carefree. They are told to quiet down by their leader as they approach a red lake, the same lake where Griffith's Bailet has been activated. But now it has been dyed red from the bodies of the Band of the Hawk. After the gateway to the God Hand had closed, what was left of their bodies must have returned to this spot. So it's basically just like a pile of mangled corpses and flesh spewed out across the lake. The Holy Iron Chain Knights properly call it the Red Sea, and apparently this is part of a prophecy. The leader of these knights takes off their helmet, revealing a young woman in command. She continues the prophecy, saying that the Hawk of Darkness will bring a dark age upon the earth. This alludes us to the fact that Griffith's story is not done yet, and that these knights have some kind of mission of their own that will involve him. I'm not going to go into detail explaining the Holy Iron Chain Knights just yet, as this is just a very brief introduction, but we will get to that. We are then given a timestamp saying it's 2 years later, 2 years after the eclipse and everything like that. So Guts has been wandering around for 2 years since then, making him 21 years old at this point, if you're keeping track. And all the events of the Black Swordsman arc must have taken place in that time span. So now we are finally caught up, 10, 11 volumes later, when the backstory is finally done. In some forest somewhere, a group of bandits have a girl tied up in their possession as they take a rest near a big tree. One of them mentions that this tree was once used for ritual sacrifice, where they would stake someone's intestines to the tree and have them walk around it. It's pretty fucked up. But even more fucked up is one of the bandits wants to try it out and use the girl to do so. He goes to her, but something flashes in his face. Not long after that, a bolt of lightning shines down, enough light for him to see a man trying to rest underneath the tree. It's none other than Guts. Guts stands frustrated he can't get any rest, and tells the bandits to leave if they don't want to die. Of course they don't listen. One tries to attack and gets punched in the face with Guts' metal arm. Then Guts' brand starts to bleed, and the tree, possessed by all the spirits that have died there, comes to life. It snatches one of the bandits and eats him, and the others run away. But Guts just whips out his gigantic sword and slashes it away. It mesmerizes the kidnapped girl as she reflects the first original quote about the sword. It was like a heap of raw iron. Guts faces off with the tree until sunrise. Remember, sunlight wards away the low-level evil spirits. Our remaining branch tries to attack the kidnapped girl, but another flash of light wards it off. That flash reveals itself to be the elf Puck. And I don't know about you, but I'm so happy to have Puck back in the story. I love this little dude. The kidnapped girl asks if he's an elf from the Misty Valley, and Puck seems confused. Meanwhile, the bandits that escaped are still in the forest somewhere. They're suddenly surrounded by what looks like dozens of little elves. Then, looking up, they see a human-sized elf girl with wings. And if you remember, this elf girl has been seen before, back when Ricker and some of the Band of the Hawk members were attacked early before the eclipse. So we know right away, she is an apostle. The kidnapped girl, who we are introduced to as Jill, brings Guts and Puck back to her village. Clearly a very poor place. But it's been so long since we've either been in a forest or in the kingdom of Midland, so it's cool to see more of the world here. And we'll get a lot more world building and exploring as Berserk moves forward. Jill's mom greets her, but her dad seems to be just some drunk who's obsessed with his old war stories. It doesn't take long before he starts being abusive to Jill, and even beats her with his cane, claiming that she needs to show him more respect. Puck flashes light in his face to stop him, and then the town sees that Puck is an elf, and they all tremble in fear. An old woman even lunges at Guts, screaming to give her back her grandchild. So in typical Guts fashion, he wonders if killing a few people will calm them down. Oh, Guts. But instead, he just creates a distraction, cutting some of the barrels open that are nearby, and he makes his escape. Soon Jill finds him, and tells him that they can take refuge in a nearby windmill. Guts takes her up on this, but tells her not to come by until morning, since he's often attacked during the night. That night, Jill watches and listens to her abusive father from her bedroom. She barricades her door so that no one can come in, and wraps herself in Guts' cloak that she still has. I feel in a lot of ways Guts is connected to children, and that he himself had such a harsh, abusive childhood. Here Guts is trying his best to avoid people on his journey to hunt and kill the apostles. He even doesn't want Puck tagging along, but can't exactly get rid of him. Whether he likes it or not, children respond to Guts, I think because he seems like a protector. And Guts responds to children because he understands how harsh the world can be to them. Jill goes to the windmill at exactly daybreak to return Guts' cloak and to bring him some food. He is asleep, and Puck requests to let him sleep a bit longer, and Guts awakens to Jill sleeping on his lap. Probably hasn't had anybody touch him affectionately since Casca. We know Guts has a phobia of being touched, and it was a slow process with Casca that got him through it. He stands, waking her up, and asks her to tell him what the Misty Valley is, and why she thinks Puck is from there. She explains that the valley is nearby, and it is said that elves inhabit it, and that those elves have been attacking and eating livestock of nearby villages. But even more so than that, they've been abducting and supposedly eating children. Puck is appalled, claiming that elves would never do such a thing. And super conveniently, as they speak, a swarm of elves fly overhead. Or what looks like elves. When they do, Guts' brand bleeds, which can only mean one thing. They're demons of some sort, and he gets to kill. The creatures invade the town like a swarm of locusts, eating and ripping living animals apart. They even break into a home and begin eating a young child's parents. He screams, running outside, right towards Guts. Guts swings his sword sideways at the swarm, splatting dozens of them on his wide blade. Then Guts decides to use the kid as bait and holds him out at the end of his sword, kind of safely. The sword is stabbed through the kid's shirt, so it sort of works. Then Guts starts to run with the kid on the end of his sword, and this poor child is just having a really rough day. It's comical, yes, but it also is the first of many glimpses we will get into the lengths Guts is willing to go in order to kill apostles. He takes the boy into a barn, leading the bugs in there. Once inside, they begin to reveal themselves with more insect-like appearances. Guts lets go of what I assume is a little jar of gunpowder, and then with his arm cannon, fires at it, blowing up all the insects and half the barn in the process. He jumps back outside with the boy, and at least thanks him for helping him. Then from above them, the bugs' leader, the apostle herself, makes her appearance. I'll pause here for now. This is the end of volume 14, and I remember getting here and being just slightly disappointed. This was the follow-up volume to the Eclipse, and in comparison, everything happening now is rather tame. That's the downside of having such a gigantic moment in the story, but trust me, we have to start small to end up big again. Berserk is like a lit stick of dynamite. It travels down a path before igniting and exploding. So stay tuned as I continue the story arc because it has a lot to offer. But I appreciate you watching. Please give it a thumbs up. Let me know your comments below. And we'll see you in the next Berserk video.